A chemical trick published in the 1800s can reverse the #1 cause of battery death. The U.S. military uses it on every vehicle in its fleet. It costs less than $1. Your auto parts store will never mention it. Americans spend $150 to $450 replacing a car battery every 3 to 5 years. The Japanese fix the same battery with a substance from the drugstore for under $1, and they get another 5 years out of it. By the end of this video, you will know the exact overnight procedure, the chemistry behind it, and the safety steps. That printout from the parts counter, the one that says replace. I want you to hold that image in your mind. Now picture a box of Epsom salt next to it. $3 at any pharmacy. That box is what the printout doesn't want you to know about. Here's what they don't print on that test result. Welcome. If this is your first time here, understand what this channel is. This is not conspiracy content. This is maintenance literacy. The kind of knowledge that was standard 60 years ago. Your grandfather knew this. His mechanic knew this. It got designed out of your reach, not because it stopped working, because it stopped generating revenue. If you believe you should know how to maintain what you own, this is where that information lives. Subscribe now because the algorithms don't favor this kind of content. We exist because you share it. This technique is older than your grandparents. In the late 1800s, chemists published research documenting exactly what kills a lead-acid battery. The answer was sulfation. When a battery discharges, lead sulfate crystals form on the plates. That's normal. When you recharge, those crystals dissolve back into the electrolyte. Also normal. But when a battery sits discharged for too long or gets repeatedly undercharged, those crystals harden. They become permanent. They coat the plates like calcium buildup in a pipe. The battery loses capacity. Eventually, it won't hold a charge at all. This was understood chemistry before 1900, and the fix was understood too. Magnesium sulfate, Epsom salt, dissolved in warm distilled water and introduced to the cells. The magnesium sulfate increases electrolyte conductivity and helps break down soft sulfation crystals during the next charge cycle. Published, documented, reproducible. By the 1950s, this was common garage knowledge. Mechanics with serviceable batteries routinely recovered units that customers had given up on. A 1/4 teaspoon per cell, an overnight slow charge. 60 to 70% of the time, the battery came back, not to 100%, but to functional, reliable service for another 2 to 5 years. This wasn't a secret, it was a skill. Kmart sold a cadmium-based battery additive on its shelves, mainstream retail. Effective battery restoration products sat next to motor oil and antifreeze. Consumers could buy them and do the work themselves. Then something shifted. In the 1970s, manufacturers introduced sealed maintenance-free batteries. By the 1990s, they dominated the market. The selling point was convenience. No more checking water levels, no more opening cell caps, no more mess. But here's what that convenience actually accomplished. It physically locked you out of the cells. You couldn't add water, you couldn't add Epsom salt, you couldn't do what mechanics had done for a century. The battery became a sealed black box with a 3 to 5 year expiration date. The technique worked, the chemistry was proven, the mechanics knew it. What changed wasn't the science, it was the business model. Now, everything I just told you is the surface layer of a much deeper archive. Behind this video is a research vault. Battery reconditioning is one category. There's also water purification with materials that cost pennies, food preservation techniques older than refrigeration, off-grid power systems you can build for under $50, medical preparedness knowledge that doesn't require a prescription. Every technique in the vault meets the same standard: documented history, verifiable chemistry, and a cost under $10. But you don't need the vault for what comes next. Everything you need for tonight's battery fix is in the next 12 minutes. Link is in the description if you want it later. Stay right here. Let's talk about who validated this in the modern era. Because it's not just old mechanics in greasy shops. Battery University is one of the most respected independent references for electrochemical education on the planet. Their published protocol for Epsom salt desulfation is specific. 250 milliliters of distilled water, heated to 66 degrees Celsius, that's 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Dissolve Epsom salt to saturation, pour into cells, slow charge overnight. Their key finding deserves its own sentence. The magnesium sulfate acts as a catalyst. It is not consumed in the reaction. It facilitates the breakdown of sulfation crystals without being used up itself. That means the treatment keeps working through the entire charge cycle. Now here's where it gets harder to dismiss. PulseTech Products Corporation, based near Dallas, Texas. They have supplied electronic desulfation equipment to the United States Department of Defense since the mid-1990s. Not as an experiment, as standard operating procedure. The military's battery manager maintenance program operates across MATES facilities. That stands for Maintenance Activity Test and Evaluation Sites. Desulfation is built into the maintenance protocol for tactical vehicles, Humvees, transport trucks, generator systems, communications equipment. Fleet operators using PulseTech systems report 300% return on investment within 18 months. The military claims a 3 times battery life extension. Let me say that clearly. The same institution that trusts desulfation to keep combat vehicles mission ready does not tell its own veterans to throw out a battery at 75% cold cranking amps. The Department of Defense recovers batteries as standard practice. They just never mentioned it to you. The military recovers its batteries. Japan recovers its batteries. So who decided Americans shouldn't follow the money? Layer 1, the free battery test. You've probably had this done. You pull into AutoZone or O'Reilly or Napa or Advance Auto Parts. They offer a free battery test. Sounds helpful. They hook up a Midtronics conductance tester. It takes 30 seconds, and it prints a result. Here's what that test actually does. It measures conductance at whatever state of charge your battery happens to be in at that moment. No pre-charge, no professional protocol, no temperature compensation in most cases. A battery that's been sitting in a cold parking lot at 60% charge will test poorly. The threshold for a replace recommendation is 75% of rated cold cranking amps. A partially discharged but structurally healthy battery gets a printout that says replace. The clerk shows you the printout. The printout looks official. The new battery is right there on the shelf. That free test is not a diagnostic. It's a conversion funnel. Layer 2, the sealed battery design. A serviceable battery with removable caps can be topped off with distilled water, treated with Epsom salt, and desulfated as needed. Properly maintained, it can last 8 to 10 years. A sealed battery on a replacement cycle generates 2 to 3 sales per decade per vehicle. The seal isn't protecting you, it's protecting the replacement schedule. Layer 3, the market math. Approximately 100 million lead acid replacement batteries are sold annually in the United States. Average retail price is $150 to $250. That is a $15 to $25 billion annual market. A dollar of Epsom salt is not competing with a product. It's competing with an industry. Now look at Japan. Japan's End-of-Life Vehicle Recycling Act passed in 2002. Full enforcement began in 2005. 3 to 4 million vehicles are processed every year under this system. The recovery rate is 99%. Battery reconditioning is standard practice within that infrastructure. Documented capacity recovery of 50 to 80%. Same batteries, same lead acid chemistry, same sulfation problem. Different economic incentives. Japan's system treats a battery as a recoverable asset. America's system treats it as a consumable with a built-in expiration date. Japan treats your battery as an asset. America treats it as a subscription. If you're the kind of person who wants to know this before you need it, not after, subscribe now. This channel exists because practical knowledge shouldn't cost you $250 every 3 years to not have. Hit the bell. Share this with one person who drives. Now, before I give you the step-by-step, here's what this won't fix. I'm telling you this because the people who don't are the ones you shouldn't trust. Epsom salt desulfation does not repair physical plate damage. If your battery has an internal short, a cracked case, or degraded separators, no amount of Epsom salt changes that. Those are structural failures, not chemical ones. The excessive concentration of Epsom salt actually accelerates corrosion. Battery University themselves warn about this. More is not better. The measurement matters. The treatment is generally effective once per battery. You may get a second round of marginal improvement, but diminishing returns are real. Hydrogen gas. This is not optional safety information. During extended slow charging, lead-acid batteries produce hydrogen. At 4% concentration in air, hydrogen is explosive. Ventilation is mandatory. Not recommended. Mandatory. Do this in a garage with the door open or outdoors. Never in an enclosed space. This works best on batteries under 5 years old with soft sulfation. Hard crystalline sulfation on an 8-year-old battery that's been sitting dead for 2 years is a different situation. Manage your expectations. Results are not permanent. Sulfation is inherent to lead-acid chemistry. It begins again the moment you start using the battery. This is a restoration, not a cure. And in fairness, some manufacturers push back. Battery Tender has compared repeated pulse desulfation to bending a paperclip back and forth until it snaps. That's their position. You should know it exists. With all of that understood, here's exactly how to do it tonight. Materials: chemical-resistant gloves, splash-proof safety goggles, not sunglasses, goggles. A box of baking soda for acid neutralization. 1/2 quart of distilled water, not tap water, distilled. 7 to 8 ounces of Epsom salt, which is magnesium sulfate. A plastic funnel, a multimeter, and a battery charger capable of 1 to 2 amp trickle charging. Total cost, if you own nothing, $15 to $25. The charger is the expensive part, and you'll use it for years. Step 1, remove the battery from the vehicle. Disconnect the negative terminal first, then the positive. This order matters. Step 2. Examine the top of the battery. Many batteries labeled sealed or maintenance-free have snap-fit caps hidden under a decorative label strip. Pry the label up carefully. If you find 6 round caps underneath, you can access the cells. If the battery is truly sealed with no removable caps, this procedure requires drilling, which is a more advanced process I'll cover separately. Step 3. Test resting voltage with your multimeter. 12.6 volts indicates a healthy charge state. Below 12.0 volts indicates heavy sulfation or deep discharge. Write this number down. You'll compare it later. Step 4. Optional, but recommended. Drain the existing electrolyte into a plastic container. Careful. This is sulfuric acid. Gloves and goggles on. Mix a solution of 1 tablespoon baking soda per cup of distilled water. Pour through each cell to neutralize residual acid. Drain again. Step 5. Prepare the Epsom salt solution. Heat 1/2 quart of distilled water to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 66 degrees Celsius. Dissolve 7 to 8 ounces of Epsom salt, stirring until the solution is completely clear. No visible crystals remaining. Step 6. Using the plastic funnel, pour the warm solution into each cell. Fill to just above the top of the lead plates. You can see the plate level by looking into each cell with a flashlight. Do not overfill. Step 7. Replace the cell caps loosely, not tight. Hydrogen gas must be able to vent during charging. Tight caps under charging pressure is a hazard. Step 8. Connect your charger. Set it to 1 to 2 amps. This is a slow charge, not a fast charge, not a jump start setting. 1 to 2 amps for 12 to 36 hours. Monitor the battery periodically for excessive heat. Warm is normal. Hot means stop. Step 9. After charging, disconnect and let the battery rest for 12 hours. Step 10. Retest voltage. Your target is 12.4 volts or higher. If you have a hydrometer, test the specific gravity of each cell. 1.265 indicates a healthy cell. If results are marginal, run a discharge and recharge cycle and test again. Full recovery can take up to a month of regular use and charging. $1, 1 night. And a battery the auto parts store told you was dead. Let's put this together. A chemical reaction published in the 1800s, practiced by mechanics for decades, adopted by the United States military as standard fleet maintenance, built into Japanese national recycling law at industrial scale, exposed by independent sources like Battery University with published protocols, and invisible to the average American driver. Because it competes with a $25 billion replacement market that needs you to not know this. The 10-year battery is not a myth. It is documented practice. Military scale, national infrastructure scale. You were just never told. Here's what I want you to do tonight. Buy a box of Epsom salt. It's shelf stable indefinitely. It weighs almost nothing. It costs almost nothing. Get a basic trickle charger and a multimeter if you don't already own them. Put all 3 in your garage or your trunk. When supply chains fail, and they have before, and they will again, the person who can keep a battery alive has transportation, communication, refrigeration, light, power. The person who can't is walking. Send this video to someone who just got told their battery needs replacing. Send it before they spend $300 on something $1 of Epsom salt might fix. Next week, we're going into the vault for another technique the industry doesn't want on your shelf. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Knowledge they bury is knowledge worth digging up.